Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Unemployed to Unstoppable, where we're going to go into our second season of the Championship, and it's really important that we build on the really successful first season, strengthen the squad, and go again with a renewed impetus at trying to get into that top spot in the division. So stick around and we'll have a look at what we can get in this year's transfer window. Okay, very quick evaluation of the squad. What you can probably notice in the keen-eyed among you is there's a lot of young players in here. What I've done is I've just fleshed out the squad somewhat with youth players in certain roles to fill out a squad that would be capable of starting the season if we absolutely had to. If we brought no players in whatsoever, we would still be able to field a fairly strong first 11, but with a very weakened substitute bench for the players ranging from 16 to 20 in the broadest sense, and Ben Goodliff is a 28-year-old. So that kind of gives you a feel for we've got a good first 11, but we can bring in a few players to strengthen the squad, ideally strengthening each individual position as we bring a player in. Should put us in really good stance for pushing up the top end of the table. So we'll get into the transfer market, see what we've got. First, we'll get through the squad player, which I've already plumbed players into certain positions. So you can see straight away from this view, for those who haven't used it before, it's the winger positions. So on the left we've got Nfonku, who's still with us. He had a fairly good season towards the end of last season, and he might be able to come on leaps and bounds this year with a bit more development. On the right hand side, Renell Young, who'd been on loan, he's gone back. McGrattan has been let go. So at the minute we've only got Anthony Scott, who's a player that came through the youth system, which isn't probably going to be what we need to move forward. So certainly the winger positions are an absolute priority. I would say as well that now that we've lost one of our major centre halves who was on loan from Aberdeen, we need to bring someone in to partner Lewis Monsmer. Monsmer's a really good centre half, but he needs someone with him. We've got Goodliff, McGrath, and then the youngster Reece Ross to kind of play the support roles in there and rotate through. But I think a really good first choice centre half, and then maybe I think we'll probably be all right at right back with Rooney in there. We've got Taylor at left back. Maybe we can take, and the fullbacks are kind of an opportunistic position. Goalkeeper, I think we're all right. So we're probably looking at one really good centre half, a couple of wingers, and maybe just anything that comes an opportunity. We don't need to bring in 11, 12 players like we did last time round, but we do need to bring in some real quality. So I'll get in amongst it. I'll see what players get released from the big clubs, see what we can bring in, and see where we are come the end of the transfer window as we get 10 games into the new season. And the first little hiccup as we get through, Michael da Costa Gonzalez, Equatorial Guinean winger from Bournemouth. Can get him on a free transfer, but unfortunately he's had his initial work permit rejected. We are going to stick in an appeal because I think he would be really good for us. However, if the appeal doesn't come through, unlike what we did last time with Calais, I'm just gonna miss out on him and let him go. Hopefully, it comes through with some positive news because I think he could be a really good player on that right hand side, especially as that's the area we've got the youth position in there. So fingers crossed for him. He'd be a good addition to the squad, but we'll keep on trucking. And the first completed transfer to come in is Idris Udatayu, 25-year-old fullback coming in from Bromley in Skybeck League 2. Kind of cover and competition for Taylor at that left-back position. So we'll bring him in, makes us slightly strengthened. Not one of the key positions, but certainly it was one of them opportunistic positions, and I think it will make us stronger in the long term. And the next headache to come through, Jake Garrett is starting to get bids in. This one for £175,000. He wants away and won't sign a new contract and goes for free at the end of the season. So it's kind of decision time on whether we cash in on him, get as much rinsed out of him as we can, and reinvest it into someone else in that position. I'd like to keep him in an ideal world, so I'll try my best. But I think at some point we're going to have to look at saying we'll let him go. We'll reinvest the money elsewhere in the squad, get someone else in, and we're going to have to be that kind of money-making club for a little period of time while we turn our fortunes around and push up towards the top end of the division. I think initially we'll reject this one, but expect him not to be here at the end of the transfer window is probably what I would say. Next signing in through the door is left winger Jay-Z Kabia. He's coming in with a little bit of pace, a little bit of dribbling and finishing, so he might play as an inside forward on the left-hand side. Starting to get a few transfers coming in. We've had a few that we've missed out on. Carroll, we tried to get back from Aberdeen. He wouldn't come. I mean, he's worth about 6 to 9 million, so I'm not surprised he didn't come. But we're really looking at what players we can bring on free transfers initially. A couple players we might try and bring on loan later on in the transfer window, but really starting to take a little bit of shape now. Still waiting on a work permit for the right-hand winger, but yeah, it's starting to attack them positions that we really need. And good news just in, Michael da Costa Gonzalez, the Equatorial Guinean winger on the right-hand side. You can see here he's had his work permit granted, so he will be able to play. So we'll finalise that. He looks like he's going to be a really good player for us on that right-hand side. Really fit, got a bit of pace on him, a bit of dribbling. So that's the two winger positions sorted out, which is the really weak area. We can now just look at the kind of opportunistic, what comes through the scouting network. And I mean, look at his, I know it's only one game, but his form in the previous club, it looks pretty good as well. So might have a really good player on our hands there. With three wingers, I think we've got all in all who can rotate across, maybe bring one up from the under-19 squad, then we can really concentrate on what else we can bring in terms of a big improvement somewhere. Another signing complete, Raquan Nelson coming in as cover on the right-hand side from Bristol City in the Championship. Again, really pacey player, good acceleration. Competition on the right-hand side, so that's two right wingers we brought in, a left winger. Unfortunately, Jake Garrett has now moved on. I think we can see in here, I think it was about 400,000 that we've sold him for. Where is it? I can't find it in here. Where's all the old ones? Anyway, he's gone. £400,000. Moved on. It's a sad thing to see him moving on to Queen's Park, but again, £400,000 we'll reinvest in the squad. We need a new attacking midfielder now, which is something extra in the shopping window. But still, I think all told so far the transfer window is going quite well. We'll have a look at the preview once we finish shopping and see how we start at the start of the season. And there we go, a substitute striker, Toby Adeyemo, coming in from Watford, 23-year-old forward. Again, dribbling, finishing, first touch is pretty handy for what he is. He's only 23 years old. He's got some good jumping reach, so he's that kind of target forward up there when Tete's not fit, I think is going to be really beneficial to us, and it gives us something else to build on should Tete move on in the future. So a bit of a shoe signing, not one to improve the first position as such, but certainly in terms of a squad player and someone who can come in and do a job, another really good signing, and I think it really takes us up a little level in terms of the squad, if not the starting 11. And there we go, confirmation. Jake Carrott will leave the club and move to Queen's Park. 475,000 for a player we snapped up on a free. We're going to have to look to do something similar again. We're currently turning down some bids for Mfonku as well. But Jake Garrett's going to be a huge miss for us. We either go to up top or we have to find someone who can fill that position. But big miss, but I think it's a bit of a must-do in terms of how we reshape the club and deal with the financial situation. So there you go, confirmation he's moving on. Let's see how we deal with that in the transfer market. And welcome back. We're 10 games into the season. It's been an absolutely storming start. There's been a formation change. There's been a couple more transfers. So let's bring you up to speed first with the players you haven't seen come in yet. Obviously, you'd already seen Odotayo, Kabia, Adeyemo, Gonzalez and Nelson. We've then managed to get Lewis Carroll back in from Aberdeen, who's worth 7.5 to 11.5 million, playing in the Scottish Championship. So that is quite the coup for us at centre-half. A player who played with us previously. He started the season really well. He's played 9 games for us with an average of 7.06. He's a big lad, 193 centimetres, and he can jump. So as a commanding centre-half with us again for a bit of consistency, that is a really phenomenal signing for us. We have then partnered him with Oliver Green, who we've brought in on loan from Dundee United, formerly on loan from Aberdeen in a previous season. So 2 former Aberdeen loanees we've got back in again as our main kind of centre-half pairings, with Montsma as the third one in there. And then we've got Goodliff in there as well, and McGrath. So that centre-half we're looking pretty handy in now. 20-year-old, again, 183, so not quite as tall, not quite as good as jumping, but we've got one really good, strong in the air, one alongside him who's reasonably pacey, and they've got the experience of developing through Aberdeen as well to come into Cove and contribute for us at centre-half. So that's 2 fantastic players. We then got Alistair Smith as a defensive midfielder to come in and bolster the numbers at the kind of back end of the field. And again, he's coming on a free transfer. Played 1 game, 3 sub appearances, 7.03 average. He's been injured since he got in, so we're just nursing him back in and introduce him to the squad. But again, he looks like a reasonably handy player for someone who came in for free. So another really good rotational option in there. And then finally, another loan from Hibs this time, Dean Cleland, a centre forward. Again, He's played 2 games, got 2 goals, 7.43 average, so he's making some contributions early doors already. The main question, I suppose, is why have we got a third striker in Dean Cleland when we already had a Tete and Adiemo? So the reason is that's the formation change. We've made that change. If I can just find the matchday squad, where we had the advanced midfielder and we've had to let players go, which is pretty annoying. I couldn't find a player who played in that central midfield role who was of the same standard that we wanted and was going to support Tete in the way I think we need to push towards the top end. So what we've done is we've partnered him up top. Adiemo and Tete have both started. We've got 2 new wingers, so Nelson currently on the right, Cabia on the left. Gonzalez does rotate in as well. And then we've got Nfonku who comes in on the left-hand side, he's a really good developmental prospect. We've got Ferguson and Bragg in deep. We've already spoke about the centre-halves in there with Rooney on the right, Taylor on the left. We've got some backup for them as well. So a really strong first 11. In terms of, for those who are interested, that's the overall in possession, out of possession. I've largely just looked to match the formation. Last season we had a little bit of a discrepancy where it didn't quite sit in right. What I've just kind of told them to do is stay in position. We'll let the defensive midfielders get in there and get the ball back, and then you're already in position to go and react to it when it goes up the top end of the pitch. So that's the formation change. If anyone does want to look in any more in depth of what we're doing in terms of what instructions are, etc., things like that, just let me know in the comment section and I can bring it up in the next episode. But keeping it fairly simple, really. Just went for a custom vertical tiki-taka, plumbed in the formation we want, put the players in, a couple slight tweaks to some positionals. Didn't really mess about with the team instructions too much, and we've just let it rock on and roll into the new season, of which we're 10 games in. Talking of the 10 games into the season, looking at the fixtures we've been through, it was quite a slow start where we initially didn't have the new formation in place. We got a loss to Arbroath, a draw with Darvel, and then we changed the formation and moved into the Premier Sports. Got beaten Ross County 3-0, goals from Gonzalez and Jones own goal. Peterhead we beat 3-0 away. Adiemo getting on the score sheet, Cabia and Tete, so 3 of the front 4 working really well. Stenhouse Muir we beat 2-0, Rooney and Cabia with the goals, and then East Fife, the last of them initial Sports Cup games, 3-1 with the Tete and Fonko and Adiemo getting the goals. So really good start from the players at the top end of the pitch, albeit not against the cream of the crop from our division. Final friendly against Barnsley was a 4-1 with Adiemo, Gonzalez and Tete and Nelson getting the goals, so that's like pretty much the front 4 all getting a goal in that one. And then starting the season, we got a superb win on the opening day against St Johnstone with Ferguson and Monsma getting the goals in a 2-1 away victory. Dunfermline Athletic at home, we've got Nelson and Rooney getting the goals in a 2-1 victory. And then we absolutely smashed Montrose 5-1. Adiemo with 2, an own goal from them, Odetayo at left back, and then Tete with a goal as well. Wraith Rovers in the Sports Cup, again a 4-2 victory. Carroll, Cabia, Tete, Adiemo, and Tete and Adiemo have really hit the ground running together in this new formation. Falkirk, who've come down, I thought we might get a bit of a hide in there, but Tete and Cabia with goals in a 2-1 away victory. We then had a little bit of a wobble. We had a home draw with Hamilton. Tete 2, Adiemo with 1, that's a 3-3. We drew 1-1. Cleland getting a last minute kind of equaliser for us. We brought him in on loan. Mostly we brought him in because we're playing 2 up top. We didn't really have someone to rotate through when players aren't particularly fit. St Mirren a 2-2 draw. Adiemo and Gonzalez with the goals, and then last match, no it wasn't last match, Inverness Thistle, Clarendon and Fonku with a 2-1 victory. Dundee United dumped us out of the Sports Cup, unfortunately, in a game which I think we played quite well and we dominated, but they just took their chances and fell to a 2-0 loss. St Johnstone at home, we got back to winning ways. Adiemo with a goal and a 1-0 win. And then the last match was against Livingston at home with Nelson, Tete getting 2 in a 3-1 win. So really strong start. Just the one loss in terms of competitive matches, Dundee United away, which is nothing really to panic about or worry about too much, because it's been a fantastic start overall. In terms of the league table, currently sat second behind Falkirk. They're 4 points clear, but they've played a game more, and that's going to be our one big problem this year, I think, is how strong Falkirk appear to be. We haven't lost the game, but we've drawn 3. We have beat Falkirk, but they just seem to be dominant against everybody else. So we're going to have to beat them in the games we play against them, and we're going to have to stay really, really on it against all the other teams in the division if we want to try and fight for that top spot, of which I think we can. Preview, what have they got us? For 7-2. So Falkirk not even top, St Mirren are top in terms of the odds. But St Johnstone, Falkirk, St Mirren, the ones to look out for, and I think we've done well against them so far. Montrose favoured to go down at 200-1, but I think at fourth, not too far away from being kind of joint third in terms of the preview. I think we've got a really good chance of making a concerted effort to get up this year. So that's where we are in terms of the squad, and we always like to look at a little bit at the players who've played the most and most goals, etc. So in terms of the most featured, Alex Ferguson, no surprise there in defensive midfielder. Adeyemo and Harvey Davies, the goalkeeper and new striker. They've played 16 games each. Rooney not far behind with 15. In terms of the goals, Itete, leading scorer, 13 games, 9 goals, keeping on the form from last season. Adeyemo not far behind, 16 games, 8 goals, and they're both doing a few assists in there and assisting each other. And then we've got a few odd goals sprung in from some of the wingers, so Caballero, Gonzalez and Nelson from the wing positions, and Fonku's got a couple as well, so they are doing their contributions. In terms of the main assists, Itete, Gonzalez, Bragg and Adeyemo are the kind of ones that are up there. Bragg, the bit of a surprise, his defensive midfield role, but yeah, doing all really well. And in terms of the average ratings, Tete, no surprise really. You tend to score high if you're getting goals. Gonzalez doing well on the right hand side as well. So all in all, a good start. 10 games in, everything's looking promising. I don't think we'll make any more moves in the transfer window. It's shut now anyway, but that's the squad we're going to take forward, hopefully through to the other side of Christmas, past the transfer window, and we'll see how we get on. Like last season, we'll put in some matches and some goals as we get into the run-in and see if we can put a concerted effort to get into that top of the league. So that should serve as an update. The transfer window has gone fantastically well. We're playing a different formation. It's all going swimmingly. Like anything in FM, the wheels could fall off the cart and it all takes a big stumble. But hopefully next time I see you in the next episode, we'll be pushing for the title. So until next time, enjoy your football manager, enjoy your football, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you soon.